Good morning and welcome to this weekly market update from MRC Markets. Today's the 28th of March 2014. What we'll do today is go through some technical analysis on Euro dollar, cable, dollar Swiss and Aussie. Just to review what's been going on in the week and give an outlook for next week. We're not making any trade calls or recommendations in this video. Trade at your own risk. If you could please read our full disclaimer on our website, which is www.mrcmarkets.com, that would be appreciated. For any new followers out there, we have 3 moving averages on each of these charts. The red one's a 50 simple, the purple is a 100 simple moving average, and the gold is a 200 simple moving average. Okay, let's have a look at the euro dollar. This is the weekly. I mean, we obviously won't spend too much time on the weekly, but it's good just to keep some sort of perspective in mind. And I know there may be some people out there who trade the long-term weekly charts. In terms of the setup that I'm focusing on, in terms of sort of fibs, it's the fib from the year low to the year high, which I think is quite interesting. And you can see last week, in terms of, it's normally, I think it's quite good in these weekly videos just to look at the previous weekly candle and see if it can give you any sort of indication of what happened in the week. And you can see last week's candle, it's just a sort of standard bearish candle. I mean, yes, it did engulf the previous candle, but it's still got a bit of lower wick on it. But you can see this week we have come down to the downside towards this 50% retracement. And if you flip it to the daily, it hasn't actually tested it yet, but it's still very near. I mean, it looks like it has on the weekly. But you can see what's interesting about this 50% level there. It does coincide with previous resistance around here as well. You can see there's 4 candle wick spikes towards the upside, so previous resistance could be turning into new support. Also, I'm hovering over the cursor here. That's another sort of spike high, so key resistance could turn into new support. So it's an interesting level. I personally think this fib will hold. And you can see even if you flip it to the daily, you can see it's got previous support around here as well, and previous resistance, so it's a decent fib. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the weekly chart. There's nothing else of major interest. I mean, yes, it's still a long way away from the moving averages, so it could easily sort of break down, and then, I don't know, perhaps look at that fib there from that year low. I mean, it's not a pure move, or even that one there. A lot of people will be looking at. I mean, you can see a previous support there at the 61.8, so that could be an interesting one. But in terms, I mean, we're doing these on a weekly basis, these videos, so I personally look at the sort of shorter term moves. And the fibs from the year low to the year highs tend to work quite well as well, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, we're on the daily now. It's the same move. You can see we're currently getting held up here at the 50-day moving average. I mean, yesterday's candle was quite bearish. Yes, it's got a bit of a lower wick in there holding, but you can already see the action today. It's trying to get up a little bit, but you can see what's sort of capping it at the minute, and I think what will cap it for the rest of the day is the 137.50 level. You can see it's right on the top of that. You can see we've already made a test of that. And if you flip it to another 4, you can see they're much clearer. So we had 4 candle. And you can see its previous support as well. This 37.50 is a previous support, turning into new resistance here, trying to get above, but it is struggling. So I'd expect it to definitely come down and test this 50%, or maybe even the 61.8 is a more healthier zone. It's definitely previous key support as well. So keep an eye on that. But this is the move that I'm personally focusing on. I mean, if we do flip it to this 4 hour, what's sort of been going on in terms of the sellers trying to bring this down? We had this move here, which is very, very technical. You can see nice spike towards the upside there, and it's just, I mean, it came back. It came down to the 0% quite quickly, and then it came back up, and it's come back down again. But in terms of it, it's purely that spike there. You can probably see a bit clearer on the 1 hour actually. In terms of the move, came back up. We did close above there in the 1 hour, but then that previous, the next 1 hour candle, which would have been the 4 hour close, closed below, and we really did just sell off quickly. So that was a nice pure move. So in terms of the next fib that a lot of people will be looking at for, I'd have thought, well, they'll be bringing that high down to where we bounced off of, and then extending their low. So the current low is here. So if, let's say, it does bottom out here, that'll be a move which I think will be quite interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest, in terms of euro. So we've got the long setup there, which is in play, and then you've got the smaller dips. And of course the round numbers have been really decent on euro. And the current one there is this 37.50 is a key sort of line in the sand, definitely. And then another level, let's say if we do come down, then keep an eye on the 137s as well, as that's right in between the 50% and the 61.8% zone. There's also previous resistance as well. Cable, I've left the levels in the setup from last week on there, just to sort of save time, as others have to put them all up again on this video. In terms of this weekly though, I still think it's in grind lower mode. In terms of this weekly setup, I think it's going to want to come down to these moving averages. I think it obviously doesn't have to, but I think the odds do favour that. And then of course you've got this fib setup here, and the 50% is at 158.17. Of course we're still a long way away from that. But in terms of the weekly movement, you can see last couple of weeks' candles nice and bearish. This one is, I think this is personally a retracement candle. Of course it could bearish engulf this one, so the weekly close will be very interesting. But as long as we close below the previous candle, to be honest with you, then I think it's just a retracement candle, and it will continue to get sold off. And yeah, if we flip it to the daily, where it's sort of selling off at the minute, I think a very interesting move is the fib. Similar to euro, we're looking at a fib. Well, on euro it's from year low to year high, but this one here, we're looking at the swing from the year high to the recent sort of significant swing low. And you can see yesterday we had a nice test of the 50% retracement at just below the 166.50s. I tweeted a picture of this chart yesterday on the Twitter feed. You can see that this is the sort of the current resistance that a lot of people are looking at. I would have thought. You can see it's also previous resistance around here as well. So yeah, this is the move that the sellers are want to hold. I mean, we didn't get a massive reversal candle yesterday. It's still a green candle body, so I'd expect today, I mean, it's already looking like it is, it's just going to keep on, I think it will grind higher, and we'll get another test of this 50%, and then maybe get that sort of decent reversal candle. Or of course it could break this high and come up and test this 61.8s maybe, or even the 167s in reverse. But I do think this fib will hold, to be honest with you. But of course it all depends on the price action. So yeah, that's the daily. I mean, if you're looking the aggressive sort of buyers in terms of fibs, well, this one's still in play. Remember, this was from last week's last sort of couple of weeks videos. We've been looking at this move here. So those buyers off of the 61.8% retracement are going to want to look for this just to keep on grinding higher and sort of make new yearly highs. But I will be surprised if it does that, purely because just on this weekly, it's been so. It's just due a healthy retracement. Of course, it doesn't have to, but I think the odds do favour a healthy retracement. So they're the sort of two fibs really. That's the bullish one, and then we have this bearish one here. So it's just a battle of the two, to be honest with you. And then if you're just sort of doing intraday stuff, then these round numbers have been playing really nicely. And yeah, I'm still leaving them on my charts. I think there's been some nice action off them, definitely. I mean, if you look at the 1 hour, this was a nice sort of resistance around here. I mean, and you can see yesterday we had the 166s as a nice support. Came back up. It didn't quite touch the 66.50s, but still got some nice reversals off there. And yeah, that's cable, to us. Let's have a look at the dollar Swiss. Dollar Swiss on the weekly, I still think it's in sort of grind lower mode, and we spoke about this fib here. I still think in terms of the longer term picture, it's going to want to come back and test that 50%, and of course you've got this move here as well. So those long term sellers off this 61.8 here are going to want to see it grind down towards that 0% line. But in terms of shorter term stuff like euro, as we're looking at the fib from the year low to year high, dollar Swiss doing the mirror image thing, I'm personally keeping an eye on the fib from the year high to the year low here. And that's why the period separators are quite good, because it's easy to sort of spot these fibs. It just makes life a lot easier. And you can see last week's weekly candle, it did engulf the previous one. does have a bit of upper wick on it though, and that sort of indicates to me that it's just a sort of retracement candle, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this current one do a similar thing. It looks like it does want to keep on grinding higher. I mean, I've been saying the sort of last few weeks that it is due. I mean, you have to keep an eye on these moving averages, and price does tend to want to come back to these moving averages. So don't be surprised to see it come and test this 50-week moving average. But in terms of shorter term stuff, I'd definitely keep an eye on this fib and just see how the price action, see what happens to the price action if we do get there. It does look like it wants to. So I think this 50% is interesting because it coincides with previous support here, big previous support. At the sort of, what's the level? The 0.89s, isn't it? The 89, that was the key support. So it is just below this 50%, but still keep it. I mean, we could come up, test the 50% on the 61.8, and then come back down, close below this maybe. But that's definitely the key line in the sand on the weekly. And if we flip it to the daily, that's the same move there, so you can see it. When we're currently above this 50-day moving average. The 100-day moving average is looking interesting here. It's starting to flatten out, and if we do get to this 50%, you've got an extra bit of confidence there, so I'd not be surprised to see it reverse off of there. In terms of the 4-hour chart, it's still the sort of same move there. It has been a little bit choppy. I think this was a decent move. Yeah, that was a nice move off of the 50%. Change that low there, where it sort of got front run. It didn't quite hit the 50%, but you can see that nice lower wick off of the 100 SMA as well, and we've got a lovely rotation towards the upside, and this 0% was trying to act as resistance, and we've now just popped above and taken out the stops behind the highs now, and it just looks like it's grinding towards 89s, to be honest with you. Wouldn't be surprised to see that happen today, or definitely over the next sort of 4 hours even. And yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest. I mean, I'm personally more interested in sort of the selling areas. I think there's some interesting selling zones, but of course, if it does sort of retrace, then keep an eye on. I mean, it's not the purest of moves, but just taking that low there, unless if it sort of tops out, this would, in terms of sort of buying opportunity, if it doesn't quite reach this night, or I mean, it could reach the 89s and come back down, then that'll be the fib I personally be looking at. But of course, it's got to retrace first, so the eyes are more focused on this move here, to be honest with you, as we're ripping higher. Aussie on the weekly, I've left this up from last week, as you can see, because this move is still in play. I mean, we've been saying for the last sort of few weeks it's been due a retracement. Keep an eye on the 50-week moving average, and no surprise, it is testing that as we speak. What is quite interesting though is how we've sort of blasted through this 50%. I mean, if you look at on the daily, we've got a daily close above that, on which I'm very surprised. I thought we would have got some interesting price action off that 0.92s, but no, we didn't. But there's nothing stopping it having coming back down for the rest of the day though, and getting some sort of weekly close below. But normally when you get daily candle closes above, it doesn't really tend to happen. But so yeah, in terms of the weekly though, it's all about the weekly candle close in terms of this 50-week moving average. I don't think it will come down towards this 50%, but obviously there's nothing stopping that. So now, I mean, in terms of sort of levels, I'd definitely just be keeping the round numbers up there. So you've got the 0.93s. I mean, in terms of intraday stuff, as we do this on a weekly basis, the round numbers are really interesting to look out for. And if you're a day trader, you always get some interesting price action out of them. We spoke about, if we flipped it to the 4 hour, remember these sort of the 0.90s acting as really decent support, and then we had 0.91s, a lovely resistance there, so they do act really well. In terms of, I mean, we're on this 4 hour now, it's the similar thing on the daily, but in terms of this 4 hour, in terms of fibs, if you're looking to sort of buy towards the upside, I'd say this is the most recent sort of swing low. Reason being, because this was a nice fib move here, off that 61.8 and that 0.90 level. So if you're an aggressive buyer playing the dips, I thought a lot of people will be looking at this move here. And interestingly, let's say it has topped out here, of course it doesn't have to. This sort of 50%, to 61.8% sort of zone range does coincide with previous highs here as well, so previous resistance could turn out into new support, and that level is at around 0.9135 there. So that's how I'm personally keeping my chart. And if you're looking at the 1 hour, let's say if it's going to retrace, you're looking for buying opportunities, that's how I sort of keep my chart set up. Just keep an eye on the price action. Okay, then that's all for today. Hope you found that video useful. If there's any other pairs that you want me to have a look out for next week, then feel free to comment under the YouTube video or send us a tweet to our Twitter feed, which is at MRC_markets. Hope you have a great rest of the week trading, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next Friday. Thanks for watching.